this forecast. Heavy rain for tomorrow. They've already moved the F3 race from tomorrow to later on this afternoon, so the teams might want to make the best use of this 3.6 mile track to be used tomorrow. The forecast says 100% chance of rain on Saturday. So Damon Hill alongside me in the commentary box and Anthony Davidson, this is a very important session because the rain might...
Point you raised there, Crofty, because, you know, I don't know, just listen to the radio.
The overall absolute intention is to have qualifying, but sort of trying to look a bit ahead and have a just in case.
From the consequences of that, they're making plans well in advance as to how they're going to run it. It doesn't look like it's going to be, you know, all day, but it's 100% it's going to rain. So it's just a question of quantity and length of time we've got it for.
Yeah, because FP3 is liable to be wet, and the team's not really wanting to go out in that.
I think that's why Massey was suggesting and why he commented on the simulations, to get the simulations done in this run. So
since he's won a Grand Prix.
Since what?
Since he's won a Grand Prix.
Yeah,
he's won a sprint.
Oh yes, he won a sprint. Yeah, since he won it, he's won qualifying. But yeah, a Grand Prix on a Sunday, he's yet to win since.
He was Mr. Friday, but not Mr. Saturday that day.
See, this is where it does get very confusing indeed. We're watching Max Verstappen out on the track. Rumour has it that is a brand new Honda power unit in that Red Bull car. No confirmation yet. We wait for the official documents from the FIA.
And isn't it interesting how it affects people's behaviour? Will it affect him here? You know, he was quick this morning. He was quick, obviously, in Monza as well. So what does it all mean? You know, the psychology of drivers being freed to do what they want to do. Sometimes is Vouty suddenly going to show us what he's got and drive in a way that he hasn't driven while he's under the arrangement or whatever it was he had at Mercedes?
And if it's a Mercedes 1-2 and he's in front of...
See how he really turned the car to get it as straight as possible, to get this car straight under the braking into turn 13.
Because
and Johnny, how's everyone? Up in the commentary box. Well, I tell you what, I confirm, and the wind is still blowing very, very strongly down here at the track. The sun is shining, track temperature is up for this morning, another 5 or 6 degrees. So
Michael MJTH via who's on Reddit, and McLaren Doggo who's on Twitter. Monza, a 1-2 for McLaren for drivers 3 and 4, giving McLaren a 5th podium of the season. It was Daniel's 6th top. We saw that very fast Marshal, Usain Boltski, come on the track during FP1.
And we didn't like that name.
We didn't like that name, but James says that wasn't Boltski, that was Igo Zuminoff.
A better effort.
Well done, James. Not get a chance in the dry tomorrow for final practice. Leclerc's gone back to the top again. Ocon goes 8th fastest, and you mentioned the track temperature, the air temperature. It's now...
I don't know if you had mentioned it already, Crofty, but Leclerc out there on the soft tyre, whilst riding on board with Max Verstappen on the medium tyre, as were the two Mercedes as well. Actually, most of the front runners on the medium or hard tyres, so that explains Charles Leclerc's.
But it looks like he was doing a long run there, so he carried on, didn't he, going for a bit more.
That's a very slow recharge lap. It's time at the moment. Maybe they're just experimenting here with dropping the temperatures and therefore the pressures as well on this cool down lap. But that is an extreme cool down lap.
Now, normally, so if this was
a free practice session,
exactly. Now, if he carries on and he dawdles between turn 12 and 13, then he's going to incur the wrath of the race director, because that is in the race director's notes already. You can't go unnecessarily slowly around this bit, for obvious reasons, because you're a bit unsighted if you're Carlos Sainz and there's suddenly a very slow-moving car in front of you, for instance.
Has a time on that, but is it worth looking for their top speed, the comparison, because Carlos does not have the new improved Ferrari, so we're looking to see if there's a disparity between the two.
Grand Prix, because he has taken a new internal combustion engine, a new turbocharger, an MGUH, an MGUK, energy store and control electronics, and just to complete the set, the new exhaust as well. So qualifying is going to be very wet tomorrow and potentially not happen until Sunday. Then that decision has been brought forward, I think, for Red Bull. Is it the right decision? Well, it is a track, and if you've got a faster car, you can steam through the field.
He'll finish 3rd or 4th.
Will he need to go in at any of the qualifying sessions. If it's wet all day tomorrow, he won't want to risk the car. They've already incurred so many costs.
And it could be a shaken up field.
The fact that he didn't finish that race has prolonged the life of that power unit. And not just prolonged the life, they calculate every single kilometre that these cars and power units do in the higher power modes. So by not running in qualifying in the high in a normal race, they're going to get 15 points. And now for the back of the grid, there's a good chance he could still get 15 points. So why not take the penalty here?
Yeah, I would say a fourth or fifth is very much on, and then see how
they have to qualify. They have to start the race on the tyres they qualified in Q2. But it also means they can't just.
They can't what?
Oh, they can't just go at their own pace.
Given Verstappen knows he's going to be starting from the back of the grid, and there's no point going for pole position in qualifying. But I hope you've enjoyed that audio lap. Damon Hill certainly enjoyed a lie down and a bit of a rest to gather his thoughts.
Thank you very much.
A lot of the road on the exit there. Now turn 7, same thing, same process again. Bring the car to the right hand side to open up turn 8. But don't run too wide out of that one. For some reason the car doesn't like it when you go over that red and white curve as much. And I think he just ran maybe a little bit wide. It's hard to tell from that angle in that final corner. P2 for him, behind his hard-charging Finnish teammate around his favourite track.
44 thousandths of a second for car number 44. The deficit to Valtteri Bottas. Just been having a look. Certainly is. Max Verstappen then starting at the back of the grid. We'll just follow this lap with Carlos Sainz, I think, for a while, because he's on a qualifying sim at the moment too. Half a second down is Carlos Sainz through the first sector alone.
You can't see it at the time, but this is still perhaps a knock-on effect of what happened that day. And it's that live to fight another day approach that sometimes you need to win a championship. And when you're in the fastest car, like we've seen Lewis equipment, where he's been accustomed to trying everything he can to win at all opportunities because he might not have another opportunity. But now he's in a car that is the fastest quite frequently, and on a bad day only just slower than the Mercedes. He's got the equipment now.
Something rash, then you're going to handicap yourself for winning a championship. So ultimately that's how the game is played. It's a points game. And I think about things like PK. I mean, PK relentlessly scoring points.
Easier said than done around this in part street track, isn't it?
Might have just dipped a wheel over onto the AstroTurf on the exit of that corner. Like I was saying, it's one of those corners you can't afford to let the car run too wide. You can on the other corners for some reason, like Turner's just on the exit, getting the power down on just a bit too much over the curb.
Yeah, just coincidentally on that bump that we were talking about before. So it looks like
it's on the AstroTurf.
Actually over a second off his best time so far. Esteban Ocon has just gone 5th fastest.
I got a tail stuck on the left rear suspension. Can I stop in the box?
Yep, stop on the box.
A tear off. Damage. Car number 99, Antonio Giovinazzi, looking like the Brabham fan car from the Swedish Grand Prix all those years ago, with parts just flailing around. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we don't...
Bit of understeer mid-corner, and he's basically done what Charles Leclerc did. And that's why we said at the time Leclerc was lucky to get away with it. I mean, of course, a bit of driver skill comes into it, but mostly luck. You don't know where the car's going to go. You're a bit of a passenger as soon as it swaps ends, and that's basically what could have happened to Charles Leclerc.
Is there AstroTurf on the other side?
It is just on the exit of that curve, and it's just the angle of the car.
Still have some. I got something in my eye in the practice one, and still something.
You have time to.
Well, fortunately for Kimi, because his teammate Antonio Giovinazzi
more pumped up and focused, so we'll see. But of course, Lewis doesn't have to beat Valtteri. Just has to stay ahead of Max. Obviously, he'd like the extra points, but
can you see a scenario on Sunday, having seen the Red Bull pit stop, hadn't had a 4-second pit stop, then all the chatter that we've had for the last 12 days since Monza, what would we have spoken about? We wouldn't have had the chatter.
It was like fate, wasn't it? Fate.
Gasly's time, I think they're looking quite punchy.
Well, I'll tell you what.
In their 300th race, yes.
Yeah.
If this is qualifying, you know, they focus on the race, on the qualifying simulations in this session. To that driver we saw in Bahrain, and he has had a few crashes. He's had to step it back, and he's just in a difficult position. His teammates clearly got the upper hand. He's lost his confidence, in complete contrast to Daniel Ricciardo.
He was 5th fastest, wasn't he, earlier today in FP1. Had a very good FP1 session. Extension to his contract with Aston Martin. Certainly enjoying himself currently as we focus on him. And we can head just a few corners further down the line to where we are now. Paul di Resta is at... Well, we're watching Lando Norris. Thanks, Paul. Norris straddling the sausage curb. Maybe something's fallen off the underside of his car as well. You don't want to be going that wide and damaging the floor.
77 kpm today. He's also been on the radio complaining about too much air coming into his helmet, so he's not having a great afternoon, although he is ahead of Mick Schumacher for the second session in a row. I think has Hamilton gone off track?
I have to miss a race because I've clunked my head or something. You know, they've got to push. Daniel Ricciardo also doing the same thing. That's got a little bit of AstroTurf before the sausage, hasn't it?
Yes.
It does. The car, I think, on the exit of that one, the car, you're in a straighter line when you do run onto it. I think that's what allows it.
Damon, you are, but I would imagine. Let's listen to this.
Impossible to pass with my top speed.
So he needs something then from the engineers to give him.
Lewis being as cool as he is, that he's not going to feel slightly tense.
I think from what we've seen in recent events and the clashes that these two pros have had, it just means that they both want it as much as each other. They're both as desperate as each other to, you know, for their own reasons to win this championship.
And around about similar age then to Max Verstappen. When Hamilton says I've got empathy, yeah, he can relate to the position Max is in. Max says you don't know me. Well, maybe that's just part of the mind games. He doesn't want to admit that Hamilton could but he hasn't got the top speed here.
I just think a racing driver doesn't want to dwell on the past. And you come, you know, you've had 12 days off. It's been big news, big headlines, and in your mind, you're over it. Right, what do we do the next race? You're always looking forward as a driver. It's just, you know, keep it positive. That's where your speed comes from. And that's could weave his way through the field in Monza. I'm sure that Verstappen can do it here.
Well, he's done it before. 19th on the grid in 2018 through to 5th. Something like that will be damage limitation for Red Bull, who know they've got races coming up where they feel their car is better with a minute and a half to go here to study things. And look, there's Esteban Ocon right up there as well, 5th fastest overall.
Bottas 39.6 on the long run. Looks like it's comfortably quickest. I haven't seen anything quicker than that.
No, a lot in the low 140s. Alonso and in the 140.7 to the Curva Grande as he was in the outer extremities of it, but he's given that quite a clunk to dislodge.
Yeah, but that's there to dissuade. That sausage is there to dissuade people from taking too much curb, and that's what will happen. And it's expensive and damaging.